Pod 4. Here we are. That's
Pod 4.
honestly, we said this last week, maybe even closer, actually, certainly closer to Pod 44. We're almost there.
Maybe. I was like, maybe he's going to go a different direction than 44 because there's no
I
room
had
for
to do
maybe
some
there.
some quick math and I believe in the gray area. That's one where I could not make the argument that it isn't. So we
Yeah,
are certainly
objectively
closer.
closer.
hmm Look at us go.
Look at us go. After a brief hiatus, it's been what, 3 weeks?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, crazy 3 weeks. Where do we even start?
For both of us, honestly.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you've I know, I'm like crazy 3 weeks. Here I am having gone to North Carolina and back, albeit gone on several other mental journeys. You've traversed the entirety of Earth.
I
Uh
genuinely think that the journey to get here was the longest and most varied of any point A to point B that I've ever done, which is saying something because I've done a
yeah,
lot of
that is saying a lot,
yeah.
most definitely.
For anybody who doesn't know, I literally last Tuesday morning at 6:30 in the morning, I was in the Himalayas in northern India. I took a 12-hour cab ride, which cost like 60 US dollars.
Crazy.
It was, yeah. And honestly, that was my preferred method of travel. There are flights, but by the time I would have gotten to the airport and done all of the stuff, it would have saved a few hours, but I was like, I don't want to do that. And airports in
Yeah.
India, I don't mind I love airports actually. Airports in India are a different thing. They're so stringent on rules and that I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to.
Yeah.
And there were buses, but I wasn't going to do a bus. Anyway, so a 12-hour cab ride through the Himalayas through all of northern India. Um got to
I didn't
Delhi.
know that could be done. Do you have to warn them, or do you just hail a cab and he's like, "Where are you headed?" And you're like,
Can
"It's
you
12 hours
imagine?
from here." Like
Oh
I
my
don't know.
god.
Are there specific guys that take you 12 hours? How does that even work?
So when I first got to India this time around in January, I was trying to get from somewhere, the place I was in Tamil Nadu to somewhere else in Kerala. And I was looking at buses and stuff, and it was like it existed, but I was going to have to transfer at least once or twice. It's like, I don't want to do that if I don't have to. And so I just Googled like hire a cab India, which is a thing there, like private drivers. Like I know that that exists, right? But this website popped up that looks like it was made in 1998, right? Called Gozo Cabs. And I'm like, well,
REV1.
literally, yeah. And I was just like, okay. And I did a little bit of Googling of other people's reviews and stuff, and it seemed legit, even though it looked archaic. And that was the first time I used it. I just put in that I was going from where I was to where I was going. Again, 8 hours, and I think that journey was 40 or 50 US dollars. Um, Picked me up exactly where I needed to be picked up, dropped me off exactly where I needed to go. They don't give you your driver information until 2 hours before you leave. So that the first time I was like, is someone actually coming to get me? But then this became a thing. The friend that I saw a few times in India, AJ, he and I were we became big fans of Gozo Cabs. They have this rewards program with, you get Gozo coins, and you can use your Gozo coins to make your next fares cheaper. I don't know. They'd gamified this janky cab system.
Fascinating.
But
hmm
anyway, I Gozo cabbed. So I had
There you go.
pre-booked it, and this guy just showed up 6:30 in the morning and was happy as a clam to drive me
Well,
12 hours. And he had family in Delhi, so
crazy.
he's like, I'm just gonna hang out with them. It's like,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah, there
cool,
you go.
thank you. Yeah. And then from Delhi, it was, God, I was there for a day. And then I took a flight to Singapore, had a 7 hour layover, so had some time in Singapore. And then 10-hour flight to Fiji, but had another 6 or 7 hour layover in the main airport here. And then a little puddle jumper. And
There you
anyway,
go.
yeah,
And now here you are
now I'm in
in
Fiji.
sunny, humid Fiji.
Very humid Fiji. Yeah.
And happy, is it now belated or is it still within the 54-hour birthday
We,
window?
we
53 and
officially,
43 minutes.
correct. We officially left my giant birthday window
hmm
I don't know, 8 hours ago. So yeah, I'm happily out of my birthday time frame.
I'll check on
Thank
the
you.
the ticket with the man upstairs on the like switching April to Lindy um move, and then you can have just like the full month. I think it's well deserved,
Thank
personally.
you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
think, yeah. But it might get, we'll see. Maybe we'll start with like a week. I could do a week.
Hmm.
And we need
Hmm.
to restructure the calendars anyway. Like
It's
none
true.
of these months should be having 30 or 31 days in them.
13 28-day months is what I've heard
And
with
then
the
that extra
moon.
day.
Hmm.
Yeah. But
We'll embed the April to Lindy switch in that next
yeah,
update.
beautiful. Because we'll need a name actually for the new month. Maybe April can
Mm,
stay, and maybe we'll just name the new month something after me. It doesn't need to be my actual name. I think it can just be, yeah, we'll
okay.
we'll toss it
We'll
around.
ponder.
Yes. But you have been on a journey as well.
Yeah, I know. Where do I even start? I guess our last pod was pre North Carolina, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I've heard about it, but I actually haven't. I know there's like hummingbirds, like a few things that have landed, but yeah, you haven't
Yeah,
told me that much.
you've heard the voice memo snippets. I mean the retreat itself, or I'll walk it back to pre the retreat. I think you and I both knew that like if anyone asked me why I was going, it like really pissed me off because I'm like, I don't know. Like we talked about this with like when your dad would ask where you're staying for a night, and it would just like infuriate you, and then like my mom asks me any question ever, and I'm just livid. Like people would ask me like, "Oh, what are you doing out there?" I'm like, and then I would say like the worst thing ever. I'd be like, "Wellness retreat."
For my wellness.
Because I'm like, it's I'm talking to people at work, and I don't have the energy, especially if I don't know why I'm going. I don't have the energy to like navigate it with someone who doesn't know either or care for that
Right,
matter. Like
right.
they don't care. They're asking to be nice. I have friends at work, but there's also people who will just like randomly, I don't know. You know how it goes. But like I kind of had that sense of like what am I really doing? It was one of those things where it just like it landed in my lap or my social media basket, one might say, and it just felt right, and the signs pointed in that direction, and so I went. And even while I was there, I was like, what am I doing here? Not that it wasn't like beautiful, like it was beautiful, but it wasn't a super like concrete like, I don't know, a lot of things these days, like you're going to a specific conference for a specific topic and this is
Right.
what you'll get out of it. And this was more, I guess, open ended, which I think we need more of because that freedom allowed for so much that I didn't expect to happen. And one of those things, and I think perhaps ironically the most concrete thing that came out of it, is Bali. And that was literally not till the very end. Like the retreat itself kind of had two main fronts. It was the like intuition, which we did some like exercises with and really tapped into, which was cool. And then also health, like what you're putting in your body. And those obviously have a very strong correlation. And the health for me going into it was kind of secondary, which is funny. But that kind of became like the primary thing. And so I was speaking with the facilitator, the chef, at the end, and he was speaking about this Bali retreat. As we know, Fiji is in a not even a couple weeks, 10 days is when I leave, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Crazy. Um, and my Western mind that has never been to either location heard Fiji and then Bali. I'm like, oh, like islands, like that side of the world, they must be close.
Island hop.
Yeah, yeah, literally. I'm like, I've done
Take a
Greek
boat.
islands where it's like a 2 hour ferry. I'm like, yeah, easy. It'll save me so much time and money as opposed to flying from the US to Bali. Not the case on the time or money front for that matter. Um, it's fine. But basically, I heard that as like that is why I'm here. There's other reasons I went to that retreat as well, and there's a lot I gained from it. It's funny actually. I look back and like one of the last nights of the retreat. So I booked an Airbnb with someone who was also there, and then we all went out. There was another guy who was gonna like sleep in his car, and I'm like, dude, just come stay on our couch. Like, you don't have to pay me. Like, just come kick it.
Please don't do that.
I don't do that. And it
Shower
wasn't
as
even
well.
like, believe me, I've done that. I lived on top of my car in the rooftop tent for like over a month, and that's different. This was like a Honda Civic, like back seat, maybe front seat. I don't even know. Um, and so we actually all went out the last night and sang karaoke in this like Asheville. I can't even call it a dive bar. It was like a, how do I say this? Uh, it was an eclectic crowd to say the least.
Look on your
Like
face.
we walk in and we are sticking out. I think me especially, my like SoCal
Uh-huh.
aura, we're just sticking out like sore thumbs. And then we're like waiting to do the karaoke, and each of us is like, we don't have to do this. Like we can leave, but like no one wanted to be the one to be like this. We should just leave. And each person sings like the most like dark, depressing, like these songs that like I don't know, they're good songs. I just don't listen to them, but they're very much like that vibe.
Hmm.
My ass is like, no, I'm gonna sing Vivir Mi Vida by Mark Anthony, which, if you don't know, is obviously a song in Spanish, a language I do not speak, but felt compelled to sing.
Wait, the entire song is in Spanish?
Entire song, not a word in English. It's
Oh
not
my
one of
god.
those like bailando where it's like Justin
Right, right, right.
Bieber and then so no, it's all
Yeah,
Spanish. And
so good.
I can sing it in the car, or like if it's playing in the background, I can sing it like word for word. I studied Spanish. At one point I was like, yes, I have my seal of biliteracy. I can read and write. I definitely could never like fluently speak it, but like a song, you can kind of just memorize. Um However, the car where like they're also singing versus karaoke is
Uh-huh.
different because there's the
Yeah.
words on the screen. However, what I didn't stop to think about is that like I feel like this is true with many Spanish songs. There's like overlapping vocals. And so they'll like be singing, but then he'll like shout something also in Spanish in the background simultaneously. And so there's like several different, oh my, it was like it was trial by fire where like I was feeling pretty confident going into it. Also, then you like hear your voice without the music and I'm like, "Oh
Right.
my god." Oh my.
Amplified to like a giant crowd of strangers,
Yeah.
not in English.
Yeah.
Obviously not a fluent Spanish speaker.
No, quite obviously.
Oh,
Perhaps
so good.
yeah, so good. Perhaps fortunately, like the way it was structured, like the screen was facing away from the crowd. So like I'm looking at the screen, I don't see the crowd. One of the guys, the one I stayed with at the Airbnb, he is a native Spanish speaker, and afterwards he's like, honestly, like you crushed it. Like people in the crowd were like dancing the salsa. So like we came, we saw, we conquered, we totally reset that vibe of that spot. They'll never be able to forget us, even if they wanted to. And it was also this like almost humiliation ritual where it's like I feel that way about the streaming. Like all of it is just like getting out of your own way. Like how little can you care about how you're perceived? And so that was like a beautiful, ironic conclusion to it. And now, yeah, like I kind of fought the Bali thing when I looked at the flights because it's like it's a clean 24 hours of travel to get from Fiji to Bali. Like my flight,
It's
including layovers, is literally 24 hours on the dot. But as we know, I can sleep anywhere. I will sleep on the floor of the airport. That's like 10 of the hours right there. It'll be fine. It'll be more than fine. It'll be fantastic. And who knows what either have in store. The Fiji retreat, I know, has many massages,
huh?
many wonderful dinners. The Bali retreat, I have no clue, but I'm excited.
I can't wait. And I just like, I don't know, because you have traveled so much and in so many varied ways, right? The car camping and just being all over your just like everything you've done, and the fact that you've
Yeah,
never been on this side of the earth before
I know.
is really,
Wild.
really cool. Um, yeah. And Bali is so many things. It's also pouring rain here all of a sudden. I don't know if you can hear
Hmm.
that. But it just like the sky's just open.
Huh. Oh, I think I can.
I love it. So
Oh,
sorry
I
if I'm
can
like
see
distracting.
like the lighting shifted
Yeah,
too. That's crazy.
it'll pass in 2 minutes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bali in particular, right, is just like it's that epicenter of the travel, the journey, the healing, the digital nomad. Like it's so many things wrapped up into one. Um, and I actually, since you have made the decision to go there, it's been popping up a lot in other people in my world. I
Hmm.
don't think I've told you this yet.
Mm-mm.
One of my friends is there now. He's leaving next week, so you guys won't overlap. But he's I almost saw him in India. We were there at the same time, but he's just like he's the person that set me on the course to my first ayahuasca retreat. He's like a
Mm.
very special human being that just kind of appears in my life like yeah,
Yeah.
at the right moments. Um yeah, and then two of my other friends are going to be there potentially when you're there actually, but all of a sudden it's just like okay. And
Hmm.
April is when I was in Bali 3 years ago, the second
Mm.
time I was there. So there's something about this like April Bali energy.
3 year
And yeah.
cycles too.
Hmm.
Interesting. Hmm.
But there's actually so much in that. When I just realized another layer of it too,
Mm.
with
Go.
regards to what you and I are doing, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
like 3 years ago, when I was first working on Ari,
Yeah.
I left the States just after Christmas in 2022 and I went to India for my first time. And so I
Hmm.
was working on Ari like the first that we kicked everything off at the beginning of 2023. That was like our
Yeah.
first official meeting. Um, and at the time, I was getting the message. I mean, the entire time that I like from when this idea came through, the message from the universe for me was my own creative work and Ari need to come to life in tandem. That was
Yeah.
clear as day. And it was one of those things where I was like, I hear you, universe, and also like, but how? Because like that's a lot. It's a lot to like start a tech company and do all of the other stuff that I'm supposed to be doing and whatever. But I got to India and I was like, okay, I know both of these things have to happen simultaneously. And what ended up happening is that I put a lot of my own creative work to the side and just focused really intensely on Ari. And at the start of April, a, it was a day I left like it's like you can't plan these things; they just happen.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up leaving India at the start of April, having a long layover in Singapore at the
Mm-hmm.
exact same time of day, a day before, so or a day later, I should say. 3 years ago, I was there on April 3rd. This year, I was there on
Mm-hmm.
April 2nd. And same time of day in the morning, whatever, went to the same restaurant, had the
I
same
wonder
thing
if
for
you like
breakfast.
factor in the leap year if it would have been like the
Then
same exact.
maybe, I mean, and just like I don't know. I feel like there's something poetic about rewriting it on like a different day, like repeating it, but
Yeah.
also being like I'm getting out ahead of it.
Literally the
But
next
three
day. Yeah.
years, yeah, yeah. Um, and this time in India, it's like for those of us, I guess, who don't know, while I was there these last few months, I finished my first book.
Mm.
I have been working on, it's been both things at once, right? It's like the
Mm-hmm.
creative visions that I was putting to the side 3 years ago, I now have actually actively living. So it's like I rewrote all of that in India. And now, yeah, 3 years ago, I left Singapore and went to Bali. And I was supposed to be in Bali much longer than I was. I had a friend that was coming to meet me. And I ended up leaving Bali unexpectedly because a family member passed away. And I like the message from the universe was like, you just need to go home. And part of the reason that I felt like I needed to go home was because it was, there was just a lot wrapped up in it, but it was like, it was more of a fear-based decision, right?
Hmm.
But I was in Bali and I left and I went home, and that's when I ended up going to San Diego and working on all of this the first time.
Hmm.
And then things, I kept ignoring my own heart and things went a little sideways, and the rest is history, and here we are. Um but having it this time around be like repeating that exact same pattern, coming to a different island, you
Yeah.
coming here for us
Yeah.
to work on this, rather than it being like, oh no, I'm not going back to the States. We're doing it differently. Like, you're coming to this paradise for us to bring this, yeah, keep keep it all going, right? And then you going there, I don't know, there's just like,
There's
there's a lot
layers.
of magic in it. There's layers. And it's gonna be, I'll look at the date, but I think I left Bali on the 15th or 16th of April, which will be a few days before you get here, I guess.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's like that middle of the month period is just, yeah. So that's how
It's
my brain works.
interesting. I haven't really thought about this, but we were building Ari, or what has come to be Ari, independently, no more than an hour geographically apart from each other at the same time, because
Mm-hmm.
the idea for Ari came to me at the start of 2023 as well. And I think in like maybe it was March 2023 is when I had that call with like the entrepreneurship boot camp, and then entered that in the summer. And so like you were in San Diego working on Ari with the whole team, and I was in sunny little Sink Monkey.
Pink monkey.
uh no, it always, for some reason, the transcription always interprets San Clemente as Sinky Monkey. The sunny little Sink Monkey transcription actually sent me though. That was crazy. But yeah, I was in sunny San Clemente. I'm curious now how it will translate that. Um,
Yeah, right. It'll get
literally,
Sunny Stink Monkey and it'll make that
yeah,
San Clemente and
literally. Um, but yeah, it's crazy to think about that we were like an hour apart,
yeah,
and now we're reconverging in Fiji, which, wow. I never, I mean, I'm sure that maybe passively I thought I would end up in Fiji at some point, but it's never been like, oh, like I can't wait to go to Fiji. And now that it's coming, I'm like, wait, this is like when people like joke about some like tropical destination, like it's Fiji. It's
it's
Fiji or it's
literally
Bali.
yeah,
And I'm doing
yeah.
both. Yeah,
No,
and
one
it's humbling. It's humbling. I'm grateful. Like I'm living the dream. And I still catch myself, I'm like viewing this as like in moments when I'm not like present or aware, I'm like seeing it as though it's this like means to an end. And like how silly, like this is what it's about, like pardon my French, but like fuck everything else, like I'm gonna be in Fiji and Bali, and everything else will come from that, like being
right,
present and
right.
in awe of like the beauty of nature and of life. And like, oh my god, in this current state of the world, like what better time to get away? So yeah, grateful.
You can't get any more away than where I
Yeah, yeah.
am. Yeah. No, it is. It's surreal, and just like how, I don't know, how like peaceful and easy life here
Mm,
is, right?
yeah,
While also knowing, being so conscious of everything else that's happening on planet Earth, and just like living in all of those worlds simultaneously, but also being present and just being like, yeah, I'm. Gratitude doesn't even feel like a strong enough word to
yeah,
describe what it's like to be like, no, there are a million things that have led to me being able to be where I am right now. Privilege is a major component of them. And just the choices and the movements and the whatever, to be like, okay, yeah, while all of that is happening, I get to be spending a month and a half living in literal paradise for free, just like bringing my dreams to
dream.
life. Like, that's pretty okay, you know?
I've been thinking, I know I've mentioned to you like the concept, I think we talked about this in the last pod actually, of like the trust fall. and
Mm,
how I thought I was good at the trust, but then if I'm unwilling to make the fall, like how good am I? Because I feel like in your case, like the trust has led you, like yes, sure, there's components of privilege, but you've also just like trusted the signs and you trusted yourself to bring yourself to this position. Um, and something that came for me or came to me recently, maybe it came for me. Actually, I'm not going to open the coming conversation again. um,
did it come for you?
I suppose time will tell. Uh, Something that came to me was that like it doesn't have to be a trust fall. Sure, it can be, but like when I trust, when I leap, I ascend. I don't fall.
Mm,
And that like reframe, yeah,
mm,
that reframe rather than like the trust and I'm like, oh no, like I'm falling into whatever is beneath where I'm at now. Like, no. Like I'm sure, in a beautiful phase of life, but it only gets better from here. And
it
it's
does.
tough. Yeah, it's tough because like the mind, we've talked about this. The mind, hmm, I am convinced, I won't say the mind. I think this is common, but for me, I know there's people who are further along in this journey, but for me, like my mind would take something shitty that it knows over something potentially magnificent that it is unfamiliar with. This was kind of one of my in my journal at the start of this year, the main themes where it's like my mind knows this current life, you know? It knows Sank Money, the little sink monkey. it knows this, and in that it finds like the comfort, the control, whatever you want to call it. But then that just leads to complacency. And the ironic thing is that like I know exactly how this life unfolds if I stay, and that's not the life I want. You know, so why like the real risk isn't throwing it all away and starting over. The real risk is staying. I don't fear failure. I fear mediocrity, you know? And so why just remain in that space? And so yeah, it's time to trust that I won't fall, that I will ascend. And I mean, what better place to do it than Fiji with my bestie and then Bali with a guru. I got my blessing. I did the
Yeah,
meditation thing, got my meditation blanket blessed as well. It's a bit of
right.
a tongue twister.
We love a
I've
virtual
been,
blessing.
yeah, I
Yeah,
felt it. I felt something.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to meet the guru, and I'm almost like, I won't say more, but I'm equally excited to just meet all the people there. That's kind of how I viewed the retreat too, where it's like the retreat itself aside, like these events, these gatherings, like they do exactly that. They gather people who are of maybe not similar people, but similar places in their journey, or even different places, but they're on the journey. They're aware that there is a journey.
right.
And how thrilling. And I hope that I mean, honestly, I hope that they're like further along the journey than me so I can see them and be like, oh, like that's how you got from point A to point B. Like whatever they're doing. And I feel that way about you, where like you're living this beautiful nomadic lifestyle, and so that gives me hope that like that exists because it's right here in front of me. And yeah, I'm excited.
I I'm so excited for your journey. I've been excited for your journey since the day that I met you, right? But it really does feel, in a lot of ways, I feel like I am you are stepping into the thing that I am kind of stepping out of,
Mm.
right? Where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I can feel my I will always be traveling and I can feel the way that I'm traveling starting to shift. and wanting a little bit more of like, okay, but maybe there's a place and then I'm traveling from there and, stuff like that. And that I'm not called to like the retreat spaces and things like that, like I had been for years. Um, yeah. And so it's just like, one, it's beautiful to see you moving into that because it's like, oh, it's so good. Just, it's so
Mm,
good. And the people that you meet and the insane things that do open, right? It's like you have no
yeah.
idea all that you know and all that, and you're really good at this. I'm making sure that I'm not lying, but at least in this instance, I believe you're
Hmm.
really good at this, where it's like, it, there aren't any other questions to ask about it other than like, okay, the voice told me that I'm supposed to go to Bali,
Yeah.
and I know it's this retreat, and that's it. There, it
Yeah.
doesn't. Whatever else is meant to come will find you when you're there. The journey itself will open all of those doors, right? You don't need to get lost in like, but what will this be, or who will that, or how will this, or maybe it'll be this, and it's like none of that, none of it matters. It all just appears. Um, and then that just opens all of the doors for whatever else is to come in that ascension, right?
Hmm.
Like that you just, there's no way for you to know other than the fact that you know that it's happening. There's no way to
Yeah.
know what the path there will be. Uh what I found really interesting as I'm kind of transitioning to the next phase myself is that I'm like, I'm in that like I don't know what the path is going to be thing again. I mean, I'm always in it, but I have gotten so comfortable in the not knowing and in the just kind of like allowing it all to be and whatever. It's hard to articulate, but there's something, it's like visualizing what this next chapter even looks like for me. I've realized has gotten is hard. Like I've kind of
Hmm.
had a vision, even though I haven't had the roadmap. I've had the vision of where I'm moving to and what I'm doing for a really long time. But like I'm kind of in that vision now. I've fulfilled that vision. And it's like, okay, well then the next chapter, that's it's like I'm on another giant ledge of just like, okay, so what does it look like
Yeah.
almost on the opposite side where it's just, yeah. And so I've been sitting in that a bit of being like, and it's for me, there's the line of completely just letting everything happen, but then also recognizing that like manifestation and visualization and asking, knowing what I'm moving towards, right? There's a big difference between just being like, I don't care, whatever, and being
Hmm.
like, no, like I completely trust where I'm going and that I'll be taken there. But I also, I know what I want and I know who I want to be. Yeah, it's like I'm writing that right now because I've become who I wanted to be. And it's like
Hmm.
and I've known that and I've realized that in layers for a while now, but it's really just hit even since getting to Fiji where I'm like, oh no, like I think some of the things that I've kind of been feeling that I haven't been able to like fully see or understand, it was like I was just kind of just feeling them, right? All of a sudden I'm like, oh, what I'm realizing is that like it's this next layer of being like, okay, you've completely filled the container of
Yeah.
who you are becoming. And it's that kind of like, okay, so yeah, we've got to break out, but what does that next thing look like,
Mm.
um
It's
yeah.
making me think of like when a hermit crab outgrows its shell and then like the
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable period where it's like on to a new shell and it's like,
Uh-huh.
well, there's nothing on my back right now.
Just
But
a
how
naked
freeing.
little crab.
Yeah, I bet they feel very light.
But I think we're
Terrified,
both
but light.
like terrified.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like we're both doing that just in
totally.
like I'm kind of giving you the little nomad shell, right? Like
Yeah,
here you can it's make it your own, but like
yeah,
um
sweet. I know.
yeah.
I'm kind of, I mean, not even kind of. I should speak in more certainty. I am 1000% in a similar boat where it's like I have fully stepped into the life I thought that I wanted or that I was indoctrinated to want. And it's not even that I like at 18 or at 21 realize like, oh no, I'm over this and I've been like grinding like this was pretty recent, honestly, that I realized like, oh, like no, this isn't my life. I have the life I thought I wanted and then some. And there's different variables that have been present at some times and are missing now or vice versa. But like on paper, I should be, I'm living the American dream. I should be so stoked. And it's not that I'm not. I am. I'm very grateful, but I do feel that like I have embodied that version of me that 18-year-old me thought he was going to be. And so I'm grateful, and now it's like I have a very special, I guess, year ahead of me of like how present can I be in this version of me and honor the fact that up until age 22, 23, 24, maybe even 25, like this is who I wanted to be. And like how much joy can I experience in this life that I've worked my whole literal whole life towards, rather than just being like, oh, this shit sucks and then on to the next and then like carry that with me to wherever I go. Like no, like I am going to make peace with Sank Money. Like the Sink Monkey and I are gonna be boys. And so now it's like I feel like if I were to leave prior to that, and it's so funny, like the way it works with the stock package, like it was always going to be next April. And I always knew that the voice that was like, oh well, like you should go all in on Ari, like it was self sabotage. It was just the like, if I did go all in on Ari, it then would have been like, oh, that was stupid. It was that voice. It was the chatter.
Idiot.
Not yet, not the voice that speaks softly. This voice
Oh.
speaks very, very loud. But I'm learning to cultivate that silence. But yeah, now it's like I've got a year ahead of me, kind of in the liminal space between lives, where like for the entire end of April, I'm going to be living quite literally that future life, because that retreat in Bali next year will be my like, as I see it now, stepping into that life fully. So it's like, okay, you get the little taste, dip your feet, come home, and I honestly have like at least one trip planned pretty much for every month throughout the rest of this year. So it's like living in both lives, and like how cool that I get to do that. And I think there's a lot internally. I know there's a lot internally for me to still navigate. It's funny actually. I've told you about my like love, adventure, wealth acronym, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
For the listeners, I'll give the brief overview. This is something, an acronym that came to me on my um I'll call it my like cliche Europe changed my life solo trip at like age 19.
It does, baby.
And it really does. It really did. Simultaneously kind of like stumbled upon the law of attraction, manifestation. You know how it goes. And I think probably the law of attraction is what led me to this literal acronym. It's so funny that it spells out law, but it's law, it's love, adventure, wealth, and it's a pyramid. And so, like, the base is love. That's the foundation. Actually, no. I'm telling it wrong. That I've let go of it. This is why. The top is love. That's a pyramid in and of itself. Right below that is adventure. That fuels love. And then right below that is wealth, and that fuels adventure. And to my like 19-year-old brain, I was like, I have cracked the Da Vinci Code, and
Yep.
life is
Yep.
simple from here on out. If it doesn't fall within those three pillars, it don't matter. You know. Yeah, and so now I've kind of, in the past few years, what happened, and this ties in with what we were just talking about, is I had all those things and something was still missing. That something is still up for debate. I've landed on a few different things, but as I see it now, starts with presence, which leads to peace, which leads to joy, which leads to bliss. And so like I kind of landed on like what I'm truly seeking is bliss and freedom. The freedom, I suppose, to experience bliss, if you will. And so I've kind of passively been shedding that acronym, but I've still used it in my journaling. Like at the start of each month, I do in my intentions, like my intention for each of those segments, plus a few others that I've kind of gathered throughout the years. And then last night, I did my April intentions, and without even realizing it, I dropped the love, adventure, wealth. Like, I dropped the categories, I dropped the buckets, and that shit felt freeing. I wrote it, and then I was like, this is going a bit too smoothly. And then I realized, and my mind for a second was like, you idiot. You worthless scum. Because I've literally, for now, like the whole last year of my journal, the same astrological journal, did that every month. Every month. And then for the first 3 months of this year, did the same. And so I was like, my like OCD pattern like consistency. I was like, oh
Yep.
no, like what will become of me for breaking this rule that I have set for myself?
I set for myself eons ago.
Yeah, quite literally when I was 19 and like probably mostly drunk. Um And so there was a second where I was like, how do I fix this? Like, do I just do it anyway? And then I was like, no, like, this is not an accident. And so I kept going. I dropped the buckets, and then that kind of became the topic of the journal is like, how much room for freedom and bliss is there in a calendar that's scheduled from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. with color coded tasks? You know, like, can you really schedule in bliss? Don't look at me like that.
13,000 miles away from you.
I know, I know, I know. I'm,
I'm just looking, you know?
yeah, yeah, I know, I'm joking. But
Yeah.
it
No, but
it
I was
was
looking
like
at you.
I know, I know. It was like it was a weight that was dropped that I like maybe didn't even realize I was carrying. I think I knew, but it was something that like sure, for now, while I am living in all these worlds, I do still need the calendar genuinely so that I like remember to go to meetings. You know, it's as simple as that. But when I'm journaling, like that's for me. And I can draw that line. Like I had let, without even noticing, the OCD that may or may not, I mean, it definitely does help me. It definitely does also hurt me, but like is partially necessary in my current work world. I let that creep in gradually into like my personal world too until there was no distinction, which is hilarious because that's exactly what I'm trying to do in the reverse. You know, I'm trying to have work become play, not the other way around. Um, and so that was very liberating. And what better month than Aries? You know, it's the first sign in the zodiac. Let's start
Many would
fresh.
say the absolute best sign in the zodiac. Um,
Many Aries would say that.
I think many in general would agree. But unfortunately, we don't have many to sample here. So survey says
we'll,
yes, best.
we'll run a poll after this.
I'll call all my Aries friends.
Hmm, hmm.
Uh, yeah. Yeah, and you're coming up on your Saturn return.
People keep saying this to me, and
Uh-huh.
believe me, I've gone down the rabbit holes.
Uh-huh.
You know when you just know it's not your time yet to go down one?
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, because you're
It's
already in it. That's
yeah.
the thing. So you don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't need to read like your life will be thrown upside down. Like I probably know what I'm gonna read, you know?
Well, here's the thing, K Dog. Um, I'm about to drop some truth when I on the
Drop
K
some
Dog.
truths. I'm ready.
Oh, but you're already doing it. And
Yeah.
again, in this moment, you're doing it with grace and like groundedness and self-love and compassion, right? Um, you probably will falter in that and go a little nuts at points in the next few
Yeah.
years. That's part of the process. Um, but right now, your ability to like so clearly see the fact that you're like, yeah, I'm in this life that I had built and that I needed to build to kind of prove to myself that I could build it because this is what I thought I wanted. And I've recognized it's no longer what I want. So I'm allowing myself to like make those changes. I don't need that to happen immediately because it's not a fear based cut and run thing. It's a love based, no, I'm moving into this, but I'm going to spend this like victory lap year reveling
Yeah.
in what I have built
Victory
while
lap. I like
recognizing, yeah,
that.
it's honestly, it's what I just did this last year. I
Yeah.
knew that that chapter was done when I was back in the States last January, February, March. I was like, cool, this is done. And there's a lot of grief. Mm, I don't want to compare our emotional states, but I think in general, I am potentially more prone to melancholy than you might be, or the depths of my melancholy might be. Yeah, like, but for me, there was a lot of grief in that as well, right? And so I guess just
Mhm.
vocalizing that for you in this next year too, where it's like it
Yeah.
can be so beautiful to sit in something and recognize that you're so happy that it exists and that you're so grateful for it and that it's also time for it to end. Like there's sadness in that. There's a lot of
Yeah.
sadness in that. Yeah, but even that for you is part of this like just upheaval, right? Because it doesn't a Saturn return doesn't need to be, you know, the way that some of us, yours truly, did it, where it's just like that kind of burn it all to the ground and, just like, I can't do this anymore, here I go. It can be just like, okay, no, like things need to change and they don't need to change a little bit. It's not like I need to get a new job or like maybe if I got a different apartment or I should get a dog or the, classic have a baby. Like,
Oh fuck.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Um, it can be a complete overhaul of everything. And that can be intentional, gentle, loving, and yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of so you mentioning grief. One of the themes at the retreat that like the main facilitator mentioned was that we as a society like do not grieve. I mean, we don't grieve properly, but we also kind of just don't grieve, period. Um, and so it's kind of like we just, rather than like letting things go, mourning them, grieving them, and then letting them go, we just like shove them down and then like hold on to them. And we carry that weight in a lot of different ways. Like, some people carry it physically, some people carry it emotionally, mentally, whatever it may be. Some people carry it and then leverage it on everyone they meet and become this, oh god, I don't even need to get into that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like this, it becomes this piece of you that's not integrated.
Mhm.
It's just like something that you, yeah, it becomes your shadow. um wow, okay, I'm seeing it, hmm, the things are coming together. So it becomes this shadow. Another main theme of the retreat was innocence and the
Mm,
power of innocence and the, I mean, sadly, perversion of innocence that has been occurring for, I mean, decades, centuries, millennia, whatever you want to say, and is just now, or just now for the general public coming to light.
right.
It's funny, we ended with this topic last time, so I hate to get dark, but it kind of just happened. Yeah, I mean, I guess for me the question kind of becomes like, where do we go from here? Like I'm on social media because there's so much beauty in it, but then the algorithm, as soon as you click on one video, like it gives you 10 more, and then there's the whole rabbit hole of like, how do we meet this energy, the terrible things that have been done and continue to be done, not just to children, but in the world in general? Like, how do we meet this? Because my initial reaction is like, honestly, not necessarily fear, but like anger. Like, I have my I'll bring in astrology. My Sagittarius moon, and emotions are often filtered through frustration. So it's like for this, where like I don't have control or don't perceive myself right now to have control of this. It's just like this frustration of like this powerlessness where it's like I want to help, but like what do I do? And so like rather than meeting this with frustration, like what do I meet it with, you know? Open
Is that a
question.
real question? Okay, I was like, is that a real question?
Yeah, yeah, open question,
Yeah.
and it may not have an immediate answer. It's
Well,
something that's coming to me now.
I think one of the most difficult ironies of healing oneself and the world, right? Both,
Hmm.
is the double-edged sword of not becoming the thing that you hate, right? And we're
Hmm.
seeing that actually in real time in certain countries on earth right
Hmm.
now who are literally become the yeah. Um but it, anger anger is a very slippery slope, right? It is, and frustration is in the same family as anger. Frustration is just the inability. Frustration is, in a lot of ways, it is such a deep love, but that can't grab onto the thing that it wants to love, and that is almost where the anger then comes in, right? It's like the inability to like wrap the love around something.
Yeah.
And it, I was on Threads the other day, and a thread popped up that from someone on the other side of the earth who had said something about something that was happening to them, and a person that I know, who I know to be a good human being, right, who has a
Hmm.
good beautiful heart and has lived a very very intense personal story. He's an immigrant to the US, and just, yeah. But he had responded to this in a way that was like, basically, it was kind of like a good, like, I'm glad that that's happening to you, because the person that was experiencing this thing was from a place that this person had personal feelings about and whatever. And I saw this, and it was basically a human, right, being like, this bad thing is happening to me. And yes, that person is from a place where that place does a lot of bad things to other people. And
Hmm.
if we're tit for tatting,
Yeah.
sure. But at the end of the day, when I saw my friend's response, I was just like, that anger and hate just make more anger and hate, right?
Yeah.
And frustration, and again, frustration is different. Frustration isn't just wanting to scream at people for being wrong. Frustration is wanting to do something and just feeling like the powers that be are so intense that you can't. But I feel like it has to be this insanely delicate dance of being like, okay, but we have to do what we can do with
Yeah.
love and with that clarity of being like, adding fuel to any fire just makes the fire bigger.
Hmm.
And it comes down to so much of that inner work of bringing ourselves back to calm and to love and to being like, okay, but this is how, I don't know, this is how I can help, even though it feels like it's like that scene in Fantasia where the brooms have been bewitched. Do you know what I'm talking about? And the
Hmm.
brooms, like, they're carrying these buckets of water, and they're like, because Mickey Mouse like bewitched them to basically like fill like this small little thing with water, but then he falls asleep, and then all of a sudden like they never stopped. So now there's like
Hmm.
these brooms that are filling this, like, and there it's just like a giant flood, and he can't do anything, and it's just like, okay, it feels like you're trying to bring this much water out of something, and there's a 10,000 people
Yeah.
bringing buckets, and it can't stop, and it's just like, but the only way that it can is if enough people start doing a little bit and not adding more water, right?
Yeah.
But the ability to not add anger and frustration, you can only do that if you have come to the peace within yourself to not have that, right? And so it's like feeling that frustration, being like, I see you, and you're righteous, you're allowed to be here. There's a reason that you exist, and it's because my heart is so big and because I care. And you are not serving me, and you're not serving the collective, and you are allowed to move in your own time. But it's like really way easier to say than to do, you know?
it's fascinating too. Like the way you're explaining it is making me think about how like a nation can act like a person. You know, there can be like a figurehead that is maybe representing it, but the entire nation, like through indoctrination, through media, whatever it may be, can carry that same weight. And maybe it is like ancestral, maybe it is doctrine, whatever it may be. And then it's like what we were talking about earlier, where like when something is held onto in the body, in the mind, wherever it may be, it's like an entire nation can hold a victim complex. And when you attack someone who's the victim, we've all seen what happens then. They're the victim, it reinforces it, and it just gets worse. And so, like, rather than attacking, I think what's happening right now is like everyone at the top is aware of what they're doing, for better or for worse. And so the more that we attack, the more it's feeding into the pre-existing thought forms. Um, and so like something new, something foreign that could like, throw it all for a loop is like love. And I recognize how like hollow that sounds because I have no clue how to apply that and have that translate into like genuine world change other than like doing it on an individual basis.
It's the
Like what
only
you
way it
said.
can be done. It's
Yeah,
literally
like
the only way it can be done.
the friend rather than seeing this person of whatever nationality who had like a human terrible experience and being like, oh, well, you're from this nationality, so you're part of this state that is this thing and you deserved it. Like, what if you met that person with love? Maybe then they would have seen you, who maybe they already had their preconceived notions about you because of your nationality. Maybe then they would have stopped and questioned, like, oh, is the narrative that I'm being sold true? Are all of these other people hateful? Do they want me to die? Because us saying, like, oh, because you're from this nation, we want you to die, like, that's confirming what they're told in that nation.
And it
And
literally is
so
just a self-fulfilling prophecy that never stops.
it's a feedback loop. And so it's like, what if anytime you interact with anyone, you meet them with love, and then these like preconceived notions that, I mean, for so long now have been just spewed to us by the media of like division. And like it's funny because the like ironic beauty of all of this is that like I see the left and right, like Democrat, Republican, like kind of crumbling, honestly, for a number of reasons. Sort of like this new shared, not new, but like maybe shared enemies, whatever it may be, but also like the files themselves. It's the great equalizer. Like the people that supported Trump are now like, for the most part, there's some people still in denial. Like, I mean, he was referenced 38,000 times. Like,
Is that a lot? Is that a lot to be referenced in regards to?
yeah, I mean, I didn't run the numbers for Clinton. I don't know. But it's both sides. That's the thing. It's both sides.
It's people who have power and who,
Yeah.
yeah, it's, yeah. And
And
I,
so now,
sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
no, I was just gonna say now the facade that like it's it's us against them, like me against my neighbor. For me, at least, I mean that dropped a while ago, but like I see in my life it dropping with the people who I used to not even be able to have a conversation with. Now it's like, yeah, I mean, crazy world we're living in, huh? And like I don't have to point a finger. I don't have to be like, oh, Trump is bad. Like they're all bad, you know?
Right.
They're all bad. Like let's move on from that and like realize, yeah, on an individual basis, like we're not too different.
And
Yeah,
we have been pitted against one another.
exactly.
And and I do believe that of which you're just speaking to is the thing that if like the mass awakening and saving of humanity and everyone coming back to love, like if that is meant to happen in our lifetimes, which I believe is possible, right? I don't think it's a guarantee, but I believe it's possible. if that is to happen, one of the signs that I see that that is actually like possible is the fact that people are having at least the awakening in that kind of like political structure sense, that people are like, oh no, every system is rotten.
Yeah.
Every person that has been pedestaled is in it for their own gain, that it's
Yeah.
all kind of smoke and mirrors, and that it's all just the haves against the have nots. And the have nots are much more in number and in
Mm-hmm.
commonality than in anything
Yeah.
else, right? And so it's just kind of, I was saying this to a friend last night, where he basically said a lot of his friends are experiencing like a lot of anxiety and dread right now, and kind of this
Mm-hmm.
feeling of like almost like a collective death that's occurring. And I'm like, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
uh and it feels to me akin to kind of COVID, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like we're at this another moment where it's like, okay, a veil is being lifted. How people interpret that, what they allow that to wake up within them, is up to them. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to lead to like some kind of giant spiritual awakening to realize that whatever, but it's just that tuning into like, okay, everything, like you were saying, everything that you had been told you were supposed to want and have, that you've now kind of built, but like everything that this world everyone was told was supposed to be, and how things were, and what existed, that it's like, yeah, that never existed, and that's a
Yeah.
lot to reckon with. And okay, we can let it go, and what do
Yeah.
we build in the wake, you know
What do we build in the wake? That's the question. And here we are. We're building.
we're building. This is our little arc
I know.
to make the
I
wake,
know.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
the arc. I like that.
Mm.
Hmm. Shall we
All
call
right.
it?
I think so.
Love you lots, Lindy.
I love you so much. And I'll see
So
you so soon.
grateful. Cannot wait to be absolutely glistening in Fiji with you.
We're gonna be
Oh,
slimy.
mm-hmm.
Waterfalls
Perfect.
and old growth jungle. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Amazing.
Oh,
Amazing. I need to touch grass. Yes.
we'll eat
Okay.
fruit
Love
right
you
off the
lots,
trees.
Lindy.
I love you. I'll see you so soon.
Perfect. Okay. Bye.
Bye.